What is up, everyone? Welcome into a very special episode of Titans Tube.
Is it special? What's so special about it? It's like any other ordinary episode. We've got me and you talking about the Titans, sitting here chilling. Jonathan Hutton standing over there. Well, Jonathan Hutton's standing over there.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Jonathan Hutton is standing over there, but we need you to come over here, Jonathan.
Yeah, welcome in.
Come take a seat. Everyone welcome Jonathan Hutton, special guest to the show.
My guys.
What's up, man?
Thanks for making the time. Appreciate it.
Yeah, so obviously, as you can tell, we are continuing our special guest segment by welcoming Mr. Jonathan Hutton onto the show. We figured after PK, we needed someone with a little more hair coverage on the old noggin.
I've got him covered there.
In case PK, you know, upped our average age of our viewing demographic too far, and they all died out before the season was over.
Got him there with the old joke and the bald joke, the old double whammy.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. All right. Yeah. Throwing some shade at PK behind his back.
Paul would call that an old joke that everyone uses on him. He says that's lame to attack a bald man.
But, well, I mean,
he said he's not bald by choice, so you can't make fun of him for that.
Is he? I don't know.
The thing is, we're attacking him behind his back unless he keeps watching these episodes, which he's watching. He's
actually watching. He watches.
Okay. He does. Wow.
Perfect.
That surprises.
Well, great to have you on the show. Anyways, Jonathan Hutton, thank you very much.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, seriously. We were also told you'd be easier on the eyes than Paul, and I think they were right.
That's right. What is that? Is that
no.
a microphone in your pocket?
Moving on, Mr. Jonathan Hutton. Is it cool if we call you Jonathan Hutton?
Or Hutton. Or Jonathan. You can call me John. Doug Matthews calls me John on the show.
All right. Well, Jay Hutt.
Name dropping.
Jay Hutt, then. Okay.
Jay Hutt's fine.
Great to have you. So before we get into the talk, I did want to break some ice between us. We did find that it is helpful for the overall chemistry of the show when the ice is shattered. So just like you and your listeners, they may not know who we are, and just like our listeners and viewers, they may not know who you are. So, so in order to find out that information, we did what all millennials do in this day and age to get their info.
Wikipedia! All right.
So what do we have?
Here's
I have one. I have a Wikipedia page.
Yeah, that's right. You do. So here's a little background info on Mr. Jonathan Hutton. Jonathan Michael Hutton, born 1956, is a British-born Zimbabwean ecologist with broad interest in nature conservation and environmental policy, whose views on the future of wildlife conservation in Africa have frequently been controversial.
Wow, that is interesting stuff. And being British-born, I gotta say, you hide that accent very well.
Thank you.
Yeah, you also kind of cover up your age really well for being born in 1956. Maybe this is kind of a curious case of Jonathan Hutton.
Oh, dude, good one.
Yes.
Good one. Oh man, that's a good one. I think we have the wrong information. That does not sound like the same guy. Maybe we should just move on.
Okay.
I mean,
sounds good.
Credentials. I mean, who needs credentials anyway? We're all gonna die. Like, what good are credentials once we're all dead? They're meaningless.
Easy, dude.
They're meaningless, man.
You took that really dark, really quickly. Sorry about that, Jonathan Hutton. Okay, let's move on. Honestly, the only thing you need to know that's all similar between us is that we're all MTSU alumni. That's right. Go Blue Raiders.
Good job. Yeah, Blue Raiders.
All this great production value. MTSU.
MTSU, that's right.
We wouldn't know how to do this without that school.
Thank you.
There's a little plug for MTSU, I guess.
Yeah.
Sweet.
So we're all Blue Raiders here.
Yeah, so anyway, but yeah, along with you, Paul Kaharski, Chad Withrow, co-host of the Midday 180, one of the most popular sports talk shows in the country, and you're also a sideline reporter for Titans Radio, giving that inside info to Mike Keith during game day. So a lot of radio with this guy.
What? I mean, but what is a radio?
Wait, I don't know.
I'm just kidding, man.
You can stream us. You can stream us online.
I eat them every afternoon. Anyways, radio. Okay. By the way, since we've been so cordial in inviting you and your other radio hosts on the show, you know, we would be open to having that invite reciprocated sometime.
Right.
Our schedules are pretty open.
Yeah, give a little, take a little. It's kind of how the world works.
Yeah.
Right? That's what I heard, maybe.
Okay.
You guys should stop by. We have Logan Ryan coming on the show every Tuesday. This is the invite. You should come in for that.
Oh, my God.
Titans Tube could benefit from Logan Ryan, right?
Absolutely. We would have nothing but good things to say.
Yeah.
Of course.
I mean, I don't know. We'll have to review the game tape again. But
okay.
as of right now, we'll have decent things to say.
Yes, yeah. We are a fan of his dog-saving endeavors and rescuing.
Yeah.
That's great.
He likes pit bulls, right? I like pit bulls.
Yeah, pit bulls. There's nothing wrong with pit bulls.
Okay.
That's a misconception.
Okay.
All right, we're getting off our script, guys. Thanks, Logan Ryan.
Yeah,
that's what I'm here for.
Yeah.
Getting off
So let's get to the real topics of discussion here. Now, I'm not one to panic or overreact per se, but what the crap is going on? I mean, this thing has all gone to crap so quickly. The wall has caved in, and there's no chemistry between all of our main pieces.
Are we still talking about the Titans here?
But no. I'm not talking about the Titans or us. I'm talking about Westeros. And what's going on there? The White Walkers are coming through. They have an ice dragon, and everybody in Westeros has just about as good chemistry as Decker and Mariota did in the Raiders game.
Yeah.
That wasn't great.
I don't know if you watched Game of Thrones, but how is this thing going to end? What's the end game here?
I do watch Game of Thrones. I think I'm the only one rooting for chaos at the end. Everyone thinks this is going to be like the bow and everything's going to be nice and tidy.
Epic fantasy ending.
That is not this show.
Yeah.
If they write this show for Jon Snow to be the victor when it's all said and done, I'm not going to like the way they wrote the finish and the ending of the show.
Agree. I heard it was going to be
a Lannister needs to be on the throne to end the show.
Lannister needs to be on. I thought you were going to say like your team White Walkers and they should just destroy it.
Okay, we're getting out. This is a Titan show, people. Thank you for your insight.
I came here to talk Game of Thrones.
Oh well.
We'll make it a Game of Thrones.
That'll be our next YouTube channel. We start Game of Thrones too. But yeah, we are a Titans channel. So let's talk about some Titans, people.
Yeah, we have over
season
a year.
has started.
We have over a year of Game of Thrones till the next season anyway. Okay, so let's get into this Raiders versus Titans game. And we initially, just right off the bat, we'll open this up. We had some concerns about the team and how they looked and what you saw. And did they have a certain identity, so to speak? Did they? Because we talked about this a little bit during our recap podcast. Shameless plug, if you haven't watched that video, watch it.
Yes.
But yeah,
quick turnaround on that video, by the way. Great job.
Thank you.
Thanks. So you did.
Yeah.
You saw it come out. Cool. But yeah, so throughout the game, it seemed like the team was going through some sort of identity crisis because it was a little bit unpredictable, kind of what we were doing. We didn't really see much of a flow. Is there possibly, are the coaches trying to still see what we have as weapons in the players, especially in the passing game?
Well,
what's your take on that?
I thought we were going to see more of a run emphasis because last year's matchup against Oakland, we saw maybe 10 to 11 more carries in that game between Henry and DeMarco combined than what we saw against the Raiders this year. So with that in mind, I think that was that to me is the recipe to keep that game close in the fourth quarter. The recipe they used though wasn't bad. They just didn't.
But what was that recipe? To casual fans, I don't know if you can call us casual fans, maybe a little more hardcore since we do run a Titans channel. But to us, it kind of looked like there was no identity. There was no game plan of run first, or we abandoned that really quickly. I mean, come on, DeMarco Murray and Derrick Henry had the same amount of carries combined as Marshawn Lynch did.
Right, but in the first half, you weren't complaining about the lack of the run, were you?
I still was lost onto what our overall game plan was and identity we were going for after what we established last year as kind of being that run first, pound them, smash mouth team.
But then they go out and draft Corey Davis. They bring in Taywan Taylor. I mean, they brought in more pieces. So I think year one with Robisky's offense and what Mularkey wants to do, it's not necessarily the final, this is the ironclad Titans offense. I think it's always, I think they're building to what they want to be. They want to be more diverse. And I agree. I don't think being versatile is necessarily an identity. We heard that a lot from Ken Wisenhunt. I never agreed with it.
Yeah.
This is still going to be a run-first team. The problem was, especially in the second half, they got no push on the offensive line to get anything going on first and second down. They faced 3rd and 8 a ton in the second half. In fact, I think only 2 third downs in that third or fourth quarter combined, they had 3rd and 8 or less. And one of those carries, DeMarco Murray was blown up on a 3rd and 2, and he actually lost a yard. So
definitely remember that play.
They did not establish the run. I don't think they abandoned it too early. They got things going in the first half with the pass, and they relied too heavily on that throughout the game.
Because we did see a close game throughout. It was a close game up until the end when they scored that very last touchdown. And kind of the mantra last year is that even if it's not working, they're going to stick with it, keep pounding the ball. But then still in the second half, there was a lot of like first down throws, second down throws, and we find ourselves in a third and long situation a lot.
Yeah, and in the red zone drive in the third quarter, when they threw 3 straight times once they got down there and they ended up kicking a field goal, like that to me, I would have liked to have seen a little bit more run involved there. But look, they were converting third and longs in the first half.
They were.
Yeah, well, we got the first 5 out of 6 or something.
Yeah, Eric Decker slipped in the third quarter. You had Mariota short arm a throw to Rashard Matthews in the third quarter. They did some things that really shot themselves in the foot in the passing game. And because of a loss of 1 or 2 yards on that drive I'm referring to DeMarco Murray, where Supernaw could not block Khalil Mack. I mean, they never got the run game going on first down.
I mean, I couldn't block Khalil Mack, but so I mean, you still think our identity is the kind of smash mouth run first type of ball as of last year, or you think it's kind of they want to balance it out more with the weapons we have?
Well, I do feel like they want to be balanced. But this is still the physical, tone-setting, run-first team. Mike Mularkey's still the head coach, and he preaches this all the time. So I don't think they're going to automatically change and think, you know what, today we're going to be pass-heavy because we're the New England Patriots. I don't see that. I don't see them going that far to the Patriots way. Patriots can do that week in and week out where they can go 40 runs or 40 passes.
Not on Thursday night.
Titans are not to that point yet. Yeah, not on Thursday night.
Interesting. I mean, just
you guys think they're transitioning to a pass-first team?
No, but this is interesting because this is actually, or was a topic we brought up with PK when before the season even started, and we added in these other pieces like Davis, a receiver. We've never kind of had a receiver with that skill set before.
No, you're right.
Decker, solidified veteran at his position. We have Murray in the backfield, Henry, all these weapons. Johnny Smith-Delaney. I could keep naming them forever, but
name everybody.
And we asked him if we thought that the coach would kind of bring up more versatility and not rely so heavily on the run.
Bring more balance in.
Yeah, bring a little more balance and almost even at times kind of let Mariota loose. Maybe spread the offense a little bit. And I remember PK's rebuttal was that this team is still going to be run first and foremost, no matter what kind of happens. And then if we need to catch up in a game, that's when they would kind of unleash. But more 2 tight end sets rather than like 3 wide receiver sets and stuff.
The only thing I would point to in the Oakland game, they only ran the ball 1 time on third down among all their third downs.
Titans.
Yeah, they did not face third and shorts.
Do you consider yourself a Titans fan, by the way? Because you can use we when talking about the Titans.
I don't use we. I try to stay neutral when it comes to that because I think the fans want neutral reporting. So that's the way I approach it.
But you're from here, growing up.
Yeah. So in high school, I was a freshman in high school when the Titans became the Titans.
Okay.
So 8th grade, whenever they were playing in Nashville at Vanderbilt.
Okay. Yeah.
So that was the big thing, right? When the Titans went to the Super Bowl,
so like,
Tennessee football in '98. I mean, they're still talking about that year.
Yeah.
That was like my awkward year. 8th grade, 9th grade.
Yeah.
That was when the Titans were making the Super Bowl run.
We'll have to check that Wikipedia page for any
high
school picks of Jonathan Hutton there.
He'll be sporting a big Mayor jersey, like going crazy at
and
party
then
or something.
we'll come back at you. So I don't know. I'm still sticking with the identity thing because we felt like watching the game yesterday. It was lost. Whatever we wanted to do kind of got lost amongst the shuffle of the game. Do you think how much control does Mariota have in reestablishing that? Since he has so much control of calling the play at the line, I think he was the one who switched to that 3rd and 2 toss back or whatever it was.
Yeah, I think Mularkey said that in the post-game interview. I guess it was right after the game, right?
Yeah.
Where he made an adjustment and he changed the play, and that's when he made the pitch back to DeMarco.
Where Supernaw missed that block on Khalil Mack or whatever. But how much is it Mariota's job to kind of stick with the identity, or are they kind of letting him free to conduct the game how he sees fit? If he wants to spread it out more and go past more, that's his call. Or I don't know.
I mean, in years past, the 2 years that we've seen him,
barely.
He's had a play where he can check to a certain route combination, hot route, whatever it may be. It's one or the other based on the formation and based on the defense that he sees. This year, I think they've opened up that playbook much more. That to me is just with the maturity of a quarterback, any quarterback. That tells me he's on the right path within that building. So the only way you're going to see him grow and mature as a QB in the league is to let him make decisions like this.
Right. Yeah, and I can't get mad about that, I guess, or fault him for that.
Great quarterbacks are not handcuffed to two options.
True.
When they go to the line.
So he could have been making the right call to switch the play. It was just a matter of execution, super not missing a block.
And it was. It was. I mean, maybe that's the first time. And I made a note on this on the sideline. I wrote down Fasano because I wonder if Fasano makes that block.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know.
Or Craig Stevens.
Oh, he would have.
Or Craig Stevens.
He would have for sure made that.
Or Craig Stevens. But those are small instances from last year that you're comparing this offense to, where the run-first, run-heavy Titans probably pick up positive yardage on that first down. And in game number 1, we didn't see that.
Yeah. And we got some tweets about this. Why wouldn't Derrick Henry even be in or on the field on that play? Just his presence, I feel like you could use him as a distraction, or just hand the ball to him up the middle. He falls forward all the time. If we want to preach being smash mouth, let's run between the tackles and get those crucial 1 or 2 yards.
Well, did Mularkey say what he checked out of in that play? Because the combination and the personnel may not have initially called for Henry to even be on the field. And then Mariota calls that play with the personnel that he has. I mean, I don't mind giving the ball to DeMarco Murray.
I don't either.
I
think that's what we said in our recap, too.
That's never a bad decision to me.
I mean, end of the day, they have enough faith in Murray to get those 1 to 2 yards, deep in the drive on 3rd down. So, I think Henry will be that back eventually, or we could use him like that. But, I mean, Murray's there, too.
Yeah,
I guess.
He's definitely a power runner, too.
And the thing about him, Henry is a great player. Throughout training camp, doing practice reports from St. Thomas Sports Park, if you're doing a true report, you had to mention Derrick Henry in the report.
Really?
Practically every day. I mean, that's how much the guy showed up. But the problem is, the guy ahead of him, who was out with a hamstring injury for a big portion of camp, he doesn't make mistakes when he's on the field. So
and he does the little things like pass blocking, and like if it's a pass play, Mariota's in shotgun or anything like that, I would rather have Murray in there 10 times out of 10 over Derrick Henry, just because he's a better receiver and a blocker.
Yeah, he does everything well. He may be the best true football player on the roster. If you're just looking for the most
Wait, you're talking about Derrick Henry or DeMarco Murray?
DeMarco
Murray.
Okay.
Yeah, but if you're looking for the well-rounded player, it may be him when you can do a little bit of everything with him offensively.
That makes sense for sure. But
you can debate that.
People here love Derrick Henry. They always want to see Derrick Henry get more carries.
I mean, but it is like what Murray said last year. He's the shiny new Corvette the team just got. Like, why don't we see him play more?
Heisman Trophy winner.
Do you think
in the South, Alabama fans? I mean, I get it. And look, on top of all that, he actually is a really good player. I mean, he is. When he has the opportunities, he makes plays.
Fluff around him.
Yeah,
he lives up to it.
At the game yesterday, walking to the stadium, I did see a woman wearing a jersey. It was a Titans colored jersey. It had number 22, and on the back it said "Roll Tide." And I kind of rolled my eyes a little bit. I rolled my eyes.
You rolled your eyes
at the Roll Tide.
Roll eyes.
So all right, yeah.
Lame joke.
That's what we're all about here. Good.
Okay, so
next.
Yeah, next. I guess kind of leading into the more when we were talking about Mariota kind of controlling the ball. I kind of want to get your thoughts on Mariota as a quarterback, how he's progressing or not, or where he's not progressing. Because I feel like, I mean, we're entering his 3rd season as a QB, but he's yet to finish a full season due to injury. And I feel like everyone, and we love him. Don't get me wrong. Love me some Marcus Mariota.
You're repping.
Marcus, if you're watching this, we'd love to have you on the show.
I'm sure that will happen.
But I feel like everyone's just dubbing him like the next star or like elite status before he's really proven that. I mean, we have a pretty small sampling size on like what he's actually done.
And he's shown huge flashes.
Yeah, and he has shown huge flashes, but sometimes that we analyzed from the game yesterday, I feel like he can easily kind of get out of rhythm, and a lot of his play kind of correlates negatively to how the rhythm of the offense is going. And if it starts tanking, he's unable to overcome that as an elite QB, say like a Rodgers or a Brady, is able to do.
Where would you guys have him right now in the league? I've got my.
You have a ranking?
I would put him somewhere between 10 and 12.
Okay.
If I'm starting,
who would be directly ahead of him and behind him?
So
name all 9.
Just the people around him. You know, like who are we? Like Jameis Winston ahead or behind?
Jameis Winston is right there with him.
Okay.
Yeah,
right there with them.
Fair. Yeah,
they're both similar, so. They're both ready to go into that top 10 status in year number 3. I think that's where the expectation for nationally would have both of those guys.
Yeah, yeah.
The comparison.
The Kirk Cousins, you think?
Kirk Cousins, man, he puts up a lot of yards throwing.
He has them. He's had games Mariota hasn't had.
Here's really where if you're doing these rankings, Derek Carr would be a top 10 quarterback, right?
Bad, yeah.
For sure, yeah.
Derek Carr, if in most of the stats, the completion percentage, looking at overall QBR on ESPN, different things, he's around the middle of the pack. Now, he throws for a boatload of yards, but a lot of those yards are after catch.
He's got some really good weapons around him and has had since he got
he's better than Marcus Mariota now. I'm not
agreed.
Okay. He's still middle of the league when it comes to quarterback stats. If you just click on a ranking and see where Carr lines up, but most people had him in the MVP vote last year. In fact, he finished 3rd in the offensive MVP vote.
And you wouldn't say that's fair or accurate to give him that?
They won 12 games.
Right. Yeah. That's
so
what I'm saying.
He lived up to expectation based on where people thought Oakland would go. Mariota is right on track to do the same thing. Mariota is getting the expectation with his team nationally that the Raiders had last year. So he can still live up to all those expectations. And really, you're saying what's the next step? If the team wins more games, nationally, the perception is going to be that Mariota is moving ahead. Now,
that's what it comes down to, is winning.
Games is huge. I mean, we talked about that a lot last year when we were starting to get hot towards the end of the year. Before his injury, if we kept going and ended up winning the AFC South, we thought Mariota would be in that MVP conversation.
He would have won it.
I don't think he would have won it, but he would be in
his name would be mentioned somewhere.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay. That's fair. And look, again, Carr is a really nice quarterback. But he finished 3rd in the MVP vote because his team did really well.
Yeah.
Now, specifically, where I want to see Mariota grow in year number 3 is games like yesterday. Like you're saying, when things are not going well consistently for the offense, the quarterback grabbing hold of the reins and moving forward, regardless if it's a bad day or not.
Yeah.
And winning a close game like that, taking the fourth quarter and just doing what you can against a very good defense.
Like you never feel like a defense truly has him shut down. Like Aaron Rodgers could have a bad game through 3 quarters, but you never feel like, oh man, we've got him in the bag.
You're wearing the McNair jersey. McNair was a great example of this.
I never felt worried ever.
Never, even and as bad as some of those games would go, right? Run first. Slow, methodical pace with that offense, and then the fourth quarter would show up, and every fan across the state of Tennessee expected them to go on a drive because of their quarterback. I think a lot of fans feel the same way about Marcus, but again, it's a progression, and that's the next step for him. Is regardless of how the day is going, he's got to be the difference maker.
Yeah.
So how do you think he does that?
Well,
I guess
I think if you the difference with Carr and Marcus in the stats, completion percentage, the best quarterback and the best quarterback in the league at completion percentage last year.
I do actually. Not do you think?
Yeah, I've seen it. I'm not going to pull it out of my hat right now, but
you'll put it on the screen before I say this. Sam Bradford.
Oh yeah, I think I did see that.
Sam Bradford.
It was pretty high too. It was like really high.
It was like over 70 point something.
Yeah, and I think Marcus is around 61 or 62. So
isn't that average? Maybe right below average.
But
I mean, he's still good.
But it is.
Getting over 60.
But we're talking about him becoming elite, right? Taking the next step in the progression. That's the next step, and a lot of it comes down to first down passing because of the first down passing. In a run-first offense, I think defenses are expecting the run. They're trying to catch guys or defenses off guard, so they'll throw those fly routes. With Corey Davis now, I think we'll see more of that. That's where I think the completion percentage increases, is with more weapons around him on the outside.
Which we have now.
Yeah,
we're starting to add.
Yes.
So.
And I was going to say, even if, like, on passing downs and maybe they don't go well, but we kind of talked about this in the podcast, but if first and second down don't go well and we face a 3rd and 10, I feel more confident now than in a long time that Mariota can, make something happen on 3rd and 10. Like, it's not an ideal situation, but he makes me comfortable enough that we can convert a 3rd and 10, which is different, and it's definitely a good step to have as a franchise quarterback.
And I thought another positive sign. He didn't play a bad game against the Raiders.
No, and he put up good numbers.
I thought in the way he was playing and being on his game, so to speak, I felt he was playing well enough to win the game if the situations were better, maybe play calling was different, but he was accurate. He was running around. He was fast.
If we're just comparing week 1 to week 1 last year against if you just start looking at where they were, the turnovers, the interceptions, they didn't start fast in the first month of the season last year, and I thought yesterday was a good sign of that.
Right, yeah.
I mean, we're seeing a lot of growth. My criticism or my question was, I feel like people are already giving him something he hasn't got there yet. Putting him at that status where I'm still seeing stuff where he can get thrown out of rhythm and can't really come back from that. And I feel like I saw that in the Oakland game.
I think
I love Mariota. I bet we're gonna get some crap for this.
Remember the Detroit game though? The offense had put up 3 points through 3 quarters, and then in the 4th quarter we score 2 touchdowns and win the game.
And that's the type of drive we were talking about, where he just grabs hold of that game, regardless of how the circumstances are going. I think a lot of people are saying Marcus may not be in that elite category yet, but they're willing to bet that he's going to become that guy. And I'm in that boat as well. I don't think there's anything the guy can't reach.
Who's ever watching this and you're just going to start bashing me about Mariota?
No, it's a good point.
I care a lot about him and I want him to do well, and so I'll point out his flaws or supposed flaws.
Yeah,
so that
and those are all fair. Those are all fair. Yeah. And he would agree with us about the slow start last year and how that needs to change. I mean, for the way things ended in Jacksonville last year, you can point to the month of September just as well as December for 2016.
If one of those other games goes our way, we'd be in the playoffs with Matt Castle probably leading the way.
Oh gosh. Okay.
That would have gone the same way as the Raiders and Connor Cook.
Interesting. Mariota, if you're watching still, we'd love to hear your take on yourself.
Yeah, come on, defend yourself.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah. What are the chances you can help us out?
Create the dummy Twitter account, Marcus, since you don't have one, and let us know.
Yeah. How in the world do you get in contact with that guy?
Please. Okay.
You want to move on?
Yeah, we'll move on. Thank you, Jonathan Hutton.
Yeah, good insight.
What's next on the script?
On the script, we have a Mike Mularkey question. Do you think he has a tendency to try too hard, to take chances? Of course, obviously, I'm going to refer to the onside kick at the beginning of the game. Do you like that approach of being aggressive, that mentality of, you've always got to be on your toes because you never know what we might pull? Or do you think he just takes unnecessary risks?
Well, you'll have to remind me if I'm forgetting some unnecessary risks. The first one that comes to mind for me is the Dolphins game last year. Not the Dolphins, I'm sorry, the Green Bay game. The Packers game. He started that game with an onside kick. They ended up crushing Green Bay that day, despite giving Aaron Rodgers the football at the 50. They didn't recover that one either. The other one would be going for 2 at Kansas City, missing that,
I remember we didn't like that decision.
Getting the 3 and out and actually winning that game with a kick. Both of those gambles turned out in his favor, even though the play itself did not work out. So I don't think being aggressive that early in a game is that costly. And in the game against Oakland, going for the onside kick, they miss it. It's obviously open for criticism. They go down 4 plays later and score, but the Titans responded, made it 7-7. So ultimately, the game started when it was a tie ball game anyway.
The game is still going to play out how it's going to be played out, regardless. Taking a risk that early.
Well, my criticism of it it's hindsight's 2020. Obviously, looking at the end of the game where it was kind of a tug of war match where it came down to the little things, the details here and there that panned out. So looking at the scope of that game and how it panned out, no big turnovers, no huge plays to flip field position. That kind of, in my mind, ended up being like the one turnover, I guess. And yet, they were going to get the ball anyways, and they could have gotten it at the 25 and drove straight down and scored. But I just think with that offense, Carr's coming off the injury, they got Marshawn Lynch back in the game. The offense is like chomping at the bits to get on the field, and I think just the worst thing to lose momentum and kind of crush spirits right off the bat is just, go ahead and possibly give them the ball at the 50 to where they can score in 4 plays. I just thought the risk was way too high for the possibility of a reward.
But ultimately, though, the game was tied. Just like it was a scoreless game when you actually kicked off for real at 7-7.
But the last thing I want to do is give a great offense and a great quarterback a shorter field.
Yeah.
He did that
To
against
start the
Green
game.
Bay. He gave me
I mean,
I don't know, it
look,
just stuck out as my
the
mind.
door is open because they didn't recover the
Yeah,
kick.
true.
Now, I was standing right there.
I kicked it open.
And I don't. There's just this sense on the sideline. I got the same one whenever they were about to do the onside kick with Green Bay. I'm down there, and you just get a sense looking around. Guys are a little bit more anxious for the kickoff. Now the defense did a great job. They were on the sideline acting like they were about to go in.
Yeah.
And there's just this. There's a little buzz on the sideline right before a big play like that. And
So like, they know what's what's about to come.
Yeah. They knew they were opening up with it. I think I think Mularkey told them on Saturday night what they were going to do.
Spoiler alert, Mularkey. Geez, come on.
So they come out and go with the onside kick, and the play was there.
Yeah,
that was the thing.
Yeah, for sure.
So
it was there to be recovered.
Was the kick not good enough?
No, I think the kick was right where it needed to be. I don't think Cersei got behind Ty Smith the way he was supposed to. Ty Smith, if he just turns the opposite way, would fall right down on the football.
Okay.
He's supposed to hit the guy that's trying to recover the kick for Oakland, and Cersei's supposed to come at his back and recover that football, and that didn't happen.
Gotcha.
So
you think it's a good thing then, or a bad thing that Mularkey has these tendencies to do something very risky and unexpected?
The players, players love it.
Yeah.
They love the aggressive nature of that play call. And they loved it when they
wants to go for it on fourth down every time.
Every time they
kind of there with him. I would like to see a little more fourth down attempts,
like you did in the preseason.
You're good at
preseason's in the past, man.
Yeah.
Preseason's in the past.
Well, you saw. I'm just saying they practice on that a lot.
Yeah.
I think the players love it. Mularkey clearly wants the extra possession, and he has enough faith in his offense to where they're going to match the score if they do score. Worst case scenario happened, and the Titans still answered and went down with a 12-play drive to tie the game.
So it ended up being a wash anyway.
If they didn't go down and score that right after the opening possession, and that kind of set the momentum and the pace of play, then I'd have a problem with it. Ultimately, I felt like the game started at 7-7 in the first quarter. It's not like they tied the game in midway through the second, and then the game started, and you wasted a quarter and a half.
Right. They kind of put pressure on the offense, like, okay, guys, we've got to answer now. But the defense still gave up a touchdown regardless. It's not like we missed the onside kick, and that automatically went back for a touchdown. So they could have scored a touchdown on the opening kick.
I mean, yes, the door was open, and we are running through it with criticism.
Yeah,
that's fine. I mean, and that's fair.
It's a subject to talk about.
I mean, we
still love
this,
you, Mularkey.
Yeah. Do you feel like they lost the game because they didn't recover the onside kick?
No. I think they lost the game in the small things. Just throughout the game. But
I still think the game would have played out exactly the same way if they kick off to Derek Carr and Cordero Patterson.
I mean, what if we don't do the onside kick and then we stop them and then get the ball back? I mean, they're both like kind of like what.
Do you think the defense was stopping that offense on that opening drive? The way it was scripted?
I would have rather. Yeah, I would have rather had 75 yards between them in the end zone.
Jared Cook was wide open on that scripted play on the third play of the game. Marshawn Lynch was running right through a gaping hole. I don't get the sense that they were stopping that offense on the opening drive. That's just how it played out and the way that script worked for them. They were ready.
That's fair, yeah. And they were dropping passes too, weren't they?
I don't mean that. I don't want to
not on the opening drive
or get picky on that play. It just when I look at the whole game and there was no big plays, that was the one that kind of stuck out. Where it's like it almost felt like a turnover because
in a game with no turnovers,
it didn't flip field position.
If they recover the kick though, you guys are all for it, right?
Yeah.
Mularkey is.
No, I'm not all for it. I would rather see him just kick it off and let's play some dang smash mouth football. You know, our defense is revamped.
The one argument against it is the entire offseason part of the storyline of the offseason has been rebuilding special teams. Kickoff coverage, different thing. You signed 2 guys off the Raiders roster to do that.
Yeah.
So kick off and go pin the guy deep, and if he brings it out, make sure you cover the kick.
We didn't sign these 2 guys to do some special teams trickery or something like that.
Or make penalties.
Or run into the kicker. He'll be good.
That did happen.
He'll be fine.
Okay.
He's a good special teamer. Do we want to move on now?
Yeah, let's move on. Do you think? One last question on stuff like Mularkey being aggressive. Do you think stuff like that ever affects his game plan, or I don't know? What am I trying to say here? You don't know because you're not in my head.
Yeah. Does his
back to the first question. Yeah, what am I
affect
trying
the
to say?
aggressiveness? If the game
The
plan is
identity,
going to,
the identity of, I mean, I feel like everyone, the thing last year going in, everyone knew we were going to run the ball. Everyone knew we were going to be run first. Everyone knew the pieces we had, what we were going to do, and it worked. You know, for the majority of the season. You come in now thinking that's going to be the same way, just more weapons around Mariota, you know, better offense. And Mularkey gets aggressive, kind of gimmicky, maybe outthinks himself, trying to get tricky and like take away possession from the Raiders, and it backfires and he loses some of that foundation he's built. Do you think that's a possibility? That's
I'm not buying it.
Hypothetical. You're not buying it?
I'm not buying it.
It's fine.
That's good.
It's too expensive for you.
It is.
I'm just kidding. Okay. Let's move on.
What about? Oh, I was going to ask. Mularkey, is he a coach that is able to adjust to adjustments that are made against us? Like if we're going down and scoring a touchdown on the opening drive, the defense like, okay, this worked for him, we're going to adjust and shut him down this way. Can Mularkey, is he a kind of coach that can readjust to that and do something different? Because I've seen in multiple, and there were a few games last year where we would go down, the offense would have a fast start. Happened against the Raiders, I think the Vikings last year too, where we would score early and then we would just sputter for the rest of the game.
Sputter.
You're saying when things are off script a bit?
Can you do those in-game adjustments?
That's a good question. I mean, I think in some cases, clearly against the Raiders, I felt like they made some adjustments at halftime. Delaney Walker admitted that after the game. He's like, look, we both made adjustments. Oakland made some defensive adjustments to where on 3rd and long.
Well, Delaney Walker had a way better second half, I felt like, anyway.
They threw him the ball more. Yeah. They should have gone
should have gone to him earlier.
Yeah, I need to go back and rewatch the game again, but the middle linebacker matchup against the two tight ends I thought would be much more in favor of the Titans.
Oh, for sure. They were starting a rookie.
Was he a rookie middle linebacker?
Yeah.
I forget his name, but.
And I'm looking at that matchup going into the game. I thought that would play a bigger factor early and throughout, and I didn't see it as much as I thought I would. I thought Corey Davis played more of a factor in the game.
Yeah. So then let's quickly get to our next point, because it's about Corey Davis. Then I think we're running a little long, so let's try to go through these last ones pretty quick. Question was,
does YouTube put a limit on video length?
No, they don't. PK made that up, but we like to keep our videos a little shorter and length.
On average, the watch time is
oh, okay.
You can look at the statistics. People don't watch the full videos a lot. But, so Corey Davis, Adoree Jackson, did they meet your expectations as their first game in the NFL? If you had to give them a grade, could you give a grade on their performances?
Yeah,
I mean, I think pleased with what you saw?
I think Corey Davis gets a B+ for that effort.
Yeah,
I would agree. No.
Okay.
The only thing I didn't see I didn't like was not being on the same page a few times with Mariota. It looked like,
and not really getting involved into the second half until that trash drive at the end, trying to set up the 52-yard field goal.
Yeah.
He went away after halftime. That's the only thing that keeps him from being an A. But for not. I mean, this is his first game since college.
Yeah.
And he came in. His first catch is an outstanding grab on the sideline. I mean, to me, that grab in the first half he had, that's the type of impact whenever they selected him 5th overall. That's the type of impact you expected.
50 balls, yeah.
Yeah. So for me, that's a B+. Adoree gets a B, a solid B, because he competed against two of the best wide receivers in the league, in Amari Cooper and Michael Crabtree, against a precise quarterback, especially on those fade routes. I thought his best work came in the red zone and in the end zone against Amari Cooper. And he still, although he didn't have the special teams exciting burst, big field position play.
Do you see him hurdle that punter?
I was going to say you still have him hurdling the kicker for about 7 yards. He leaped at the 25, landed on the 32 or something.
Up straight too.
Yeah,
he wasn't like going low.
I mean, that's the exciting type of play that we have the opportunity to watch week in and week out with him.
And that could have been it ended up, I don't think we scored on that drive, but it could be a momentum changer if he has that capability at any time to flip field position to really give us an edge whenever we need it. He can do
and
that.
I'm basing his play off of what we saw last year with guys like Valentino Blake, Parrish Cox.
Good point. He didn't look like I think you said, he didn't look like a deer in headlights.
No, he's graded on a curve because of what I'm comparing him to. I mean, he was much better.
Yeah.
Shoot, man, I could be Adoree.
You what?
with that is what I'm graded against.
We both went.
Blake and Parrish Cox.
We all went to
Put me out there
MTSU.
against DeMarco.
We all went to MTSU. We appreciate grading on a curve.
Yeah, there you go.
Definitely.
Yeah, exactly. Thank
definitely.
you,
Wouldn't have made it out without that. For sure. Okay. So you're on the sidelines for every game, right? Reporting.
Yep.
Are you able to get to watch the game, get locked into the game, see what's happening? Like,
sometimes.
Are you always just kind of reporting on injured players or what people are
what
the radio's
are you
telling you
doing?
to do?
I would say
because we don't know. Obviously we don't have that kind of access yet.
Yeah.
Maybe after this show, but so we don't know.
Okay, I would say 70% of the game I actually get to see.
Because you even said you were writing down Anthony Fasano.
I'm making notes. I don't see the game like you guys get to see from the stands or on TV. Like I rewatch the game to see how it all played out because that view is much better. I prefer to be up in the press box to watch a football game. A lot of the other 30%, I'm either trying to find out what happened to an injured player. In this case, it was Jonathan Cyprien. That was the one big injury.
He's out late in the game.
He's out for that was fourth quarter. Yeah. He's out for a couple of weeks with a left hamstring injury. If Mariota, the last 2 years covering the sidelines for Titans Radio, I've been covering a Mariota injury at some point. That takes up a big portion of what I'm doing. I'm in the tunnel. I'm not even watching the game. And a lot of times when the defense comes off the field, special teams come off the field, I am watching the sideline and then looking up at the Jumbotron to watch the play. I'm not even actually watching it live in front of me. I'm watching the Jumbotron and actually, observing what the trainers are doing.
Right.
So that's my main gig is to cover injuries for the Titans.
Interesting.
Well, there you go. Yeah.
And the other sideline. There's a couple of teams that don't allow me over there. Baltimore kicked me off their sideline. Oakland is very strange,
so
home or away.
You can sometimes cover injuries on other.
Yeah, so I can go around, and a couple of the teams will know me through the years, and some of them I'll just introduce myself pregame and say, hey, I'll be over here if there's an injury or something I need clarification on. And maybe most of them are cool.
Yeah, maybe they don't want to disclose that information to you because then you might tell the team, like, yeah, this player's not returning.
Yeah,
so is it something like that?
Well, a lot of times though they'll announce it to their media corps upstairs anyway, and those guys are tweeting it out, so I can get it that way. But if there's something we need clarification on for our broadcast purposes, I can go over there and go behind the bench and kind of talk to somebody about it. Cool. Indianapolis and Baltimore have been the two weird ones, where Indianapolis thinks because I'm walking behind their bench with a microphone, I'm recording something, and Baltimore won't even let me on the corner of the end zone that approaches their sideline. They're paranoid.
Sheesh.
Well, if you watch the show, we hate Indianapolis.
And Baltimore.
And Baltimore as Titans fans.
Well,
with the history
you
of them.
You hate Baltimore.
So
typically I'm
want to stay
watching.
away from them anyway. Why would you want to get close to those teams?
Yeah. We also have the privilege of beverages during the game that you don't have, which sometimes prohibits our view at times, especially late in the fourth quarter. But
where do you guys sit for the game?
Like I said, my parents have PSL tickets.
Okay.
Those are in the north end zone, section 146.
Okay.
About 15 rows up, down. I think we're a little bit below halfway down close to the field. So.
What letter is it?
Do I want it? It's L. Row L.
So that's a good seat, though, because that's the tunnel end zone, right? So you have the players running in and out.
We're not near a tunnel. We're like right behind the field goal post. Like we're 146. To our right is 145, and then to our left is 101. So it starts right over again.
Okay.
So we're like right down the middle behind the field goal post. North end zone.
And if he doesn't invite me to the game, like this past Sunday, I just some Craigslist some of them tickets, which are
you sit all over
in the
nosebleed.
But I love the nosebleed seats. Like you said, watching the game from the box, I get to see how everything develops. Kind of. The only thing I can't see is specific players at times. I have to wait for a replay or get it through Twitter or something. Like a few times I called out, I thought it was Adoree returning the kick or on the play, and it was someone else.
It was Eric Williams.
They
pinned it deep.
Yeah, so that's the only negative about that, and not having the privilege of TV or radio to kind of catch me up to speed. But yeah, I sit everywhere. He's always in the same spot.
Yeah.
You're always on the sidelines.
I don't need to buy tickets.
Okay, last, since we're running out of time, so you and Paul Garski are pretty close, right? Would you consider like good friends?
Really, almost best friends.
Okay.
Well, best friends. I'll say best friends.
BFFs?
Best friends. So how much does that cost you monthly? Because I heard the rate for friend is just like $100 a month for PK right now.
People are paying to be his friend. Luckily, I'm grandfathered in.
Oh, we got the grandfathered in.
So here's an inside story. So we're watching the Mayweather-McGregor fight, and we were over at a couple of friends' house, and one of his really good friends was throwing the watch party. And he was like, "Man, I feel like I have to pay for our friendship now because the $5.99 a month." And I told him, Paul Edwards is his name. I told Paul, I said, "Paul, you pay me $1.99 a month, and I will send you everything that guy writes. Like you can pay me less, and I will send you everything that Paul
You have access to
posts.
that before it's online?
Sometimes.
Okay.
Sometimes, but I have access to the site.
Can you read Paul's website and not pay money though?
You have a special best friend pack.
Yeah, we talked about this on Midday 180. There's only like 5 or 6 people that have the privilege of this access.
There needs to be
login.
6 or 7 people now.
PK's inner
After the
circle.
show,
PK's
I'll give you the login.
Thank you.
And
Wow.
you guys can subscribe to paulkoharski.com.
So much
I feel like
nicer, Paul.
mentioning the website gives me the power to actually pass
now more
along.
people are going to hear about it and know, so it'll bounce.
Well, so you're even like promoting Paul right now.
Right,
Do you have
exactly.
anything-
That's how I'll play it off.
This is your segment of the show where you can promote
Paul was
anything you do or
all
your
about
segment.
promoting his plugs.
Yes, he was.
My
In his notes, every time he took a breath, he's like, "By the way, I'm on Midday 180. I got paulkoharski.com." So here's your chance.
My plugs are simple. Midday 180, noon to 3 weekdays on 104.5 The Zone. Follow me on Twitter at Hutton1045. It's that.
1045.
It's that
Do you
easy.
also run the Midday account?
We all do. Sometimes it's an intern on there as well during the show, but all 3 of us are tweeting from that account.
Cool.
Gotcha.
Awesome.
Kinda like
Well,
that.
At Midday 180 is you were trying to get me to mention this. At Midday
well,
180.
I was just saying because we've tweeted at Midday before and they responded. I never know who's behind that.
It could have been
Because we
any
both
of
run
us.
the Titans Tube Twitter account at Titans_Tube_YT.
Plug
Plug.
for our own video.
Well, yeah, that's about it. That's about it. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome.
I enjoy the show.
Since Paul turned down all of our gifts at the end, we didn't really get you anything.
No need.
So I hope that's. Oh yeah,
Wait,
never mind.
We're trying to pawn this off a little bit. This is our DGB signed football. Paul, will you take it?
Doriel Green Beckham Jr. has signed this football. Will you take it?
Can I put this? Well,
Can you?
will you
like,
guys
cross
also?
out the-
Will you guys also sign it? And I'll put it in the studio.
I would feel
It could
very
be-
honored.
it would
Yes,
be worth way more.
I would love to have my name by DGB, who's.
I want to improve the value of this football.
Yeah.
That's like the same joke Paul used. Anyways, thank you, Jonathan.
We'll have you back for the mid-season review, right? That we have scheduled. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
All right.
awesome.
All right, that
Thank
works.
you.
Great.
And now your watch has ended.
Yes.
So
Thank you.
farewell.
Hopefully this ending will be just as great as the actual Game of Thrones ending.
Yeah.
We only have to wait
will.
another, year and a half?
Well,
Yeah, something like
if,
that.
if we're going by your theory, then we just start to throw papers everywhere because it's getting into chaos.
Just light it on fire.
Yeah, light it on
Light 'em on
fire.
fire.
Anyways, thank you guys for watching. Comment below if you think Hutton is better looking than PK, which we think he is.
I will not be
He
reading.
gets a check in that category.
Peace out.